Hello everyone, my name is Jordan and this week I will be covering for Vladimir. In terms of our trading styles, don't be surprised if you see some slight differences in some of the things, but overall I believe you're going to enjoy the analysis. If you like Vlad's trading style, I'm pretty sure you're going to like mine as well, because it's more or less the same ideas. Without further ado, let's go ahead and check out the charts. Before that, if you have any questions, guys, once you watch this video, leave your comment below and we will be happy to reply. Starting with the, let me see my list one moment, Aussiecat. Now, Aussiecat is following a bullish structure for quite some time now. Beginning of March, let's say, or mid-March, we started this bullish journey here, and once we saw the bearish signs started forming, we started following the pair for actual pullbacks to be delivered. And since this is the daily chart, we can actually enjoy some moves on the 4-hour, 1-hour charts, even to the downside. So all we need to do now is confirm that we have a reversal before we can start looking for the sells. As we mentioned, we have the daily divergence on the two indicators. On the 4-hour chart, the way it started developing looks good, and there is a potential head and shoulders that might be forming here. It's not the most reliable pattern, at least according to the way I have studied this pattern and the factors that we need to see, but regardless, I think the structure is resembling head and shoulders pattern, which means at the end of the day, if there are people who will be trading this structure to the downside, there will be momentum being created. And since this fits our analysis from the daily chart, Aussiecat, even on H4, starts to become really interesting opportunity for the sells. This is also where we can start looking for hidden divergences, and unfortunately in this case we can't really see any, so we skip this part. Of course, we can be also looking for levels, and we do have a few levels. Most importantly, this previous swing was not broken by the price just bounced off of it, and again, at least as per our expectations, we should be pushing lower now. If we're going to be talking about head and shoulders, the green dashed line is what we're going to be following, not this yellow line. All right, this is not your neckline. Now on the 1-hour chart, after the first attempt for the price to go ahead and break this structure right here, it failed to do so. It pushed higher, coming to these levels as we mentioned. So now the trend line is updated, and naturally, if you're already following this for a breakout and entry with trend lines, this would be the idea that you should be following. What else we can say on the 1-hour chart is the fact that we do have an impulse, bearish impulse, meaning that we're expecting the price to continue lower after the pullbacks. So Aussiecat, again, it might not be the best and optimal setups in terms of technical analysis, but everything is pointing down, and in my opinion, we should be focused here on the sells. You probably noticed this arrow right there with the low being marked, and this is there because on the 4-hour chart, this is where the last divergence happened. So technically speaking, breakout below this zone would be also very beneficial in terms of confirmation. Just keep in mind that if this is going to be a double wave, in other words, some sort of ABC pattern, right? look where the 100% is. Now, no one says we're going to come to 100% and then bounce back and continue higher, but it is a strong level, and ever since we did this pullback, the move up was extremely slow and annoying, which meant we did create too many levels on the way. This entire zone, guys, once again right here, approximately 300 pips, is full of levels. So once we go ahead and reach this zone, breaking below that level, if we do, of course, open your eyes for the divergences and just follow up and try to manage your trade if this is an opportunity for you to do it. After all, this is daily 4-hour chart, so it doesn't require that much following during the day. You can do it once every few hours. And one last thing, based on the assumption of a head and shoulders, whatever the breakout will be, right? You just need to follow up the breakout zone, but technically speaking, if that would be correct, we're going somewhere around the 0.93 zone. So those are the ideas and the analysis, at least as per my understanding for Aussiecat. Again, for me, this thing is supposed to be pushing lower. A very simple invalidation zone could be the swing high right there. Next one, I have Aussie Kiwi. I would like to start the analysis from the weekly chart here, because the level that we have reached is really an important level. A really important level, guys, okay? And here as well we have a pretty decent zone. So the first thing is we have a very strong resistance zone slightly above the current market price, which could already be kind of a test zone here, right? Because we're just missing a few pips from the bottom of the zone that I have marked. So that's the very first thing, because we're going to be talking about buys. And when we talk about buys, we want to buy the pullbacks, of course, which means the price is pushing lower, reaching some kind of supportive zones, right? Places where the price is bouncing. But when the price is going up, we want to pay attention to the opposite or the same levels, but we just call them differently. We call them resistances, because this is where the price is usually also going to bounce. And if this is such an amazing zone and level, we want to focus on buys, but only during pullbacks, because in such way of trading, we will have enough room to the upside to collect profits. Otherwise, if you start buying right here, then it's not very logical, because you have a level in front of you, and then you have, let's say this is your stop loss, which doesn't give you a good risk reward ratio. That's the first thing. Then on the daily chart, of course, what we've been following for some time now is pretty much the same story as Aussiecat. We have an impulse which is kind of let's say 1 or 2 steps ahead of this one, because the impulse already provided the pullbacks, and those pullbacks, the corrective structure was broken and the continuation is now happening. So what we can expect here is for the price to reach this zone, at least the was at 110.80 level approximately, and the question is, how are we going to do that? I personally see 2 scenarios. Once we reach good levels, there are usually 2 things that happen. The price comes closer to it, kind of consolidating for some time. Consolidation is kind of a flat move, right? Imagine this kind of story. And then if this is your resistance, we just get the breakout, meaning that I expect either to see the breakout, because we need this momentum to break through that zone, right? The bulls need that. Then we can focus again on pullbacks and buys. Or alternatively, if this is the place where we're not going to be gaining the momentum and the breakout is not going to happen, we're likely going to see some kind of false break, or at least testing the same zones. We're likely going to see on the lower time frames slow down false breaks again, reversal patterns, and the price is going to push lower for deeper pullback. And that's the place to mention that as long as this zone will be holding, any down move for me here would be considered a pullback that gains the momentum for the breakout. Of course, without going into too much details about this one right here becoming some kind of impulse on the lower time frames, etc., right? Because again, we would be going into too much detail, but generally speaking, that's the idea. As long as we held the structure on the daily chart, pullbacks, if we bounce and don't break, pullbacks would be a perfect opportunity to buy, because again, the risk reward ratio, even if we don't break on the next attempt here, the risk reward ratio right here, this zone, will be more than enough for us to make money. Bottom line is, try to avoid buying right below this level. We want to see the price moving away, then we buy it, or we want to see the price breaking, pull back, and then buy. Just don't do it right below it. As a rule of the thumb, of course, not just for this setup, for any setup. Alright, next on the list, euro-dollar. First of all, we have a weekly trend line here, okay, coming from the very tops of 2008. Then we're connecting it. Those are missing it right here. This is the most extreme point, so this is where we connect the line. And as we can see, the price is currently trying and attempting to break above. Zooming in a bit though, it reveals to us that we actually got a spike here, and the second week attempting to go higher also got a spike. I'm talking about these two spikes of approximately 100 plus pips. That tells us on weekly, based on weekly of course, bulls are being rejected. I also see extremely decent strong level right here, which looks like the price kind of managed to break and close above, but on the other hand, the spikes on the trend line are telling us different story. Without going any deeper, I'm talking about the lower time frames, I already see a possibility of potential flat move before continuation to gain the momentum, or pullbacks before breakout. Okay, it just starts to be more logical rather than expecting it to continue higher. Again, nothing is 100% sure, it's all based on probabilities, and the way I see it, it's more probable for the price to give us the pullbacks before we actually break above the zone. And why are we talking about buys? Because if you're following our analysis for some time now, you probably noticed that we're expecting this thing to continue higher based on the last move to the upside, okay, starting from approximately right here. So now that we're on daily chart, we can talk about that. MAs and RSI are missing the divergences. I'm talking about this zone right here, and the only place we see divergence is on the histogram. Again, as we said, we have a level, so technically speaking, I would be expecting for the price to give us some pullbacks here. And to be more specific, I'll drop even to the 4-hour chart, and by pullbacks I mean two possible scenarios. Scenario number one would be a range. That means the price comes closer to this zone and we don't break it, we just start dancing around this zone right here until we finally get a breakout. Or alternatively, this thing confirms to be a double top, then we see breakout below the zone and the price actually pushes lower and creates whatever formation it is going to create, right? And we can immediately spot some very nice levels on the way, but we can be talking about that later. So at that stage, what I would be focusing on is this level. And when I say this level, that means the possible range. We already had some attempts, not some, one attempt right here for a sell, which managed to pay already, I think, but since that move down is more or less going to be finishing soon, unless we create a 5-leg structure, which is likely going to happen. But even if we do, pullbacks here at the bottom aggressively could be bought. If you would like to stick to more conservative approach, then wait for this impulse to be formed. Ideally, the fifth wave of this impulse is going to be breaking below this zone, this level, the 117 level, let's say, and then pullbacks and continuations. So overall, in, let's say, the mid picture, mid point of view, this thing is supposed to give us bearish moves. Okay, if you like scalping, you might be trying to scalp the end of this bearish wave here for some quick pullbacks before a possible continuation. Both of those would be interesting scenarios in my opinion, depending of course on your trading style. All right, euro yen, pretty similar situation as with the euro dollar. This is also a pair where we, inside the live club, of course, the live trading rooms, we already attacked sales here, which are delivering. They did deliver, by the way, not delivering. So target one at least is now reached, which means at worst we have target one with break even, if this is the way you're managing it. But going back to the higher time frames, we can see that on the daily, the price reached 61.8 Fibo, and the bearish divergences are in place. Okay, right here. That means this is a very good level for the price to provide some kind of pullback. And this is where, again, as I said, we might be looking for short-term pullbacks. Ideally, we want to see a confirmation. And so far on the 1 hour chart, we got one such confirmation in terms of convergence, which was not the best setup in the world, but it was technically correct, and as we can see, it did provide. Now it's interesting, at least to me, to see whether we can start gaining some kind of impulse here on the 1 hour chart that can tell us to sell the pullbacks. So euro yen, also something that I would be following during the upcoming weekend. Pullbacks would make a lot of sense. Euro franc is the next I have on the list, and this one is a real short-term opportunity, guys. Now the higher time frames started behaving a bit irrational and a bit annoying, and when that happens, I like to go to the lower time frames and just start looking for short-term intraday scalps. What I did notice here today is the fact that we're moving inside a structure, let's call it a bullish channel. The two lines that you see are the inner zones and the extreme zones. So basically what's happening at the moment is that the price is at the bottom of this bullish channel. Excuse me, which means as long as this channel is holding and we don't get breakouts to the downside, we can be expecting bounces and the price to continue higher. And this is where the beauty of ranges comes in play, because the risk reward ratios in such cases is usually amazing. You will notice many lines here. Those are two indicators, proprietary indicators created by me, and the sole purpose of these lines is to pick levels. Okay, very good, strong, supportive and resistance levels. So to our attention now would be, they are actually overlapping, but we have no, where is it? Is it this one? It's this one. So we have first daily level, second daily level, and then we have multiple, based on the red lines here, multiple levels as well from the second indicator. And if we drop to the 15-minute chart, you will see this cluster of red lines again from the second indicator, which is coming to this exact zone, and clearly we can see the price is reacting off of it. Now, what am I looking for here? I'm looking for extremely strong level, which is in place. I'm looking for possible aggressive entries coming with divergences, which is also in place. I'm also checking for false breaks. The first one is in place. The second one, we need to see how this move down is going to end. But if it bounces, we're going to have second false break. So that could be really interesting opportunity. Let's see how it plays out, and if you're into scalping, guys, I think you're going to enjoy this setup. As you can see, this is approximately 100 pips versus 15 or 7 or 8, depending on your trading style and how you would like to attack it. So one short-term opportunity here. We also have the pounds on the list, and the one I'm really interested in is pound Aussie, pound franc, sorry, not pound franc, pound Kiwi and pound yen. The situation for both of them, the bigger picture is pretty much the same. We're inside bearish move on the daily chart. We got some confirmation and signs that this thing is supposed to be giving us pullbacks, or whatever it is going to be later on, doesn't matter. It is supposed to provide us with bullish moves, and it did. We've been waiting for this patiently. I actually think we had some losses here on the first attempts, because we had the early signals on the lower time frames, and we usually want to catch them. But finally the price started moving, and this is the impulse that more or less confirms best of everything. We also have higher highs being created and so on and so forth. Enough about the history. What are we expecting to see? Well, since we're assuming that this is an impulse, what we would like to see is pullback that we can go ahead and buy for a second wave. So far so good. The question is, this move down, at least in my opinion, is a bit limited. Look where the 38.2 is. We're kind of testing it, maybe missing a few pips, but basically we reached the 38.2. And usually I would like to see the price going lower, 50, 61.8, right? Because why? Because it's much better and cheaper price to buy. The lower you buy, the better, because then you're expecting something like that to happen. So that being said, we should say that this thing is already, technically speaking, in place. Okay, we're missing again a few pips from the 100% in order to create a perfect ABC, but the divergence is already in place, and we already have excuse me guys, we already have false break. So in other words, if we see breakout above this trend line, we're likely going to be continuing higher. That means first attempts could be in place there if you're looking at, if you're trading with trend lines, but overall speaking, it should be some sort of confirmation. On the other hand, if we see the price bouncing and going lower, that would be actually perfect, because then we might even start looking at potential channel here, and we're going to be looking at the alternative trend line. We're going to be looking at the 127 versus the 50 Fibo, which is this zone. We're going to be looking at next divergences, stronger levels, right? And from this zone, the buys would be much better, because then I would be looking also for aggressive setups, buying from this zone, not breakouts. So let's see, but this is basically what I have in mind. And of course, the longer term is buy pullbacks, right? Without the extra details, buy pullbacks. Next is pound Kiwi, and as I said, the situation for most of them is pretty much the same. The false breaks, the divergences, the breakouts to the upside, convergences. This is an impulse, and here again we're following for pullbacks that we can go ahead and buy. This zone right there is extremely strong zone. This is also the psychological level of 2. So if I have to be honest, guys, I would really prefer that we do the first false break, we do this, people jump in, they clean the stops, we create extreme here, we create histogram, positive histogram from the MACD, and then we get a very strong, nice and quick move to the downside. Of course, I might be wrong, it's just a hope and a dream, sorry about the phone, but if it happens, it would be really perfect. If it doesn't, and we just stay with this, because this is already one leg divergence with something like a breakout, which is tricky because of the spike that we have here, but overall this zone, and this zone mainly, was broken, right? So pound Kiwi in terms of technicals is trickier, and when I go to the 1 hour chart, I don't see an impulse here. So again, guys, that might be a bit more advanced setup, so let's not dig into the details anymore. Just the bottom line here is we want to see the price dropping, okay, and once the price drops, we want to look for buys. That's it. Pound yen is another one, another pound pair which I'm following. Here we have this zone, which we more or less reached the bottom of it, and the previous spike is just a few pips below. Now the larger view here is not entirely clear to me besides the levels, but that's more than enough for me to trade it, which means I can drop to the 4 hour chart, and here what I believe is happening is after this move we do have a range, horizontal, beautiful range, and I love ranges because they provide fantastic risk reward ratio setups. So if my main direction is up, if the spike right here was not yet cleared, right, we're missing around 50-60 pips from these tops, if there is no divergence, assuming that this is not divergence, it's just double top with this, right, and most of all, ignoring everything else, the price is holding above this zone. This is the most important part, because then a double top would be confirmed or convergence would be confirmed, and basically we can expect the price to push even lower. So as long as this thing is holding right here, I would be still looking at the lower time frames for potential bullish opportunities versus the top, first of all, and second of all versus the next level, which is 50 pips above. So pound yen, in my opinion, has room for one more push higher before any major pullbacks, and alternatively, as I said, if we break this critical zone, then we can be expecting the price to push lower, which if provides something interesting actually could be also traded, but I don't want to give you like 2-3 steps ahead ideas here, because it's tough to predict which way and how it's going to develop. As for now, I'm going to focus for the buys only, and if anything, I will be then adapting to the situation. So that's about the pounds I'm following. What else do we have? Let's see, Kiwi CAD is another interesting pair, and mainly, at least for me, it's interesting because of this move. It's kind of a V pattern, and we discussed it in the last days of the previous week, where we were talking about this kind of move and how we should be handling it, because we have a direction which is down, and then the price is doing this, and it's really confusing for most people, including me, by the way, before I kind of created a strategy for myself on how to handle it. And it actually works, guys. So I really hope if you're part of the co-op that you managed to catch some of these moves. But now let's go back to the higher time frames. We can actually go to weekly, because here we can see that the price is moving inside something that reminds a channel. Last time it touched or almost touched the bottom, we got the divergence, which was following a second false break, and then we got this amazing push to the upside. This is where the price managed to break above, and this breakout came with convergence here on the MAs, on the RSI and histogram. I think it was under bearish divergence. You can see it, right? It's just ticking down. So it doesn't matter how we look at it, even starting from the weekly chart. What we can see is that the price pushed up, and there is a possibility for this kind of structure to be completed. And the keyword here is, or the key part of the image, more or less, not the word, is this right here, the pullback. Because this kind of pullback on weekly chart is miniature trend on 1 hour, 4 hour, even on daily charts. And that means sales could be very well expected. So then we go down to the lower time frames to see if we can confirm what the weekly is telling us. And as a matter of fact, we have two divergences on the daily chart. We have cycles which we can measure in different ways, but pretty much they're giving us levels around this zone. And we also have false breaks. So after this tiny consolidation period and attempt to go up, we got immediate rejection, and now the price is trying to break below, and then we got this push up. Long story short, I do expect for the price to provide here pullbacks, which means in the upcoming week, as long as we're holding the top there, and specifically this zone, which is somewhere in the middle of this entire range, as long as we're holding this zone, I will be expecting the price to push lower. In terms of price structure, I don't find much. In terms of divergences on the 4 hour chart, we did actually spike through this line here, so it means we did have the hidden divergence. And again, it might not be ideal, but when we put all the facts together, sales are making a lot of sense. In terms of levels to follow for targets, well, clearly this is a zone where we want to see the price reaching. And let's say this is 87.50 zone or so. But then we can also use the Fibos, and the Fibos would be giving us 61.8, which is just a few pips above at the top of the zone, and the 100, which is at the, let's say, extremes of this zone right here. That's why if we get some sort of average in between, we're getting the 87.50 level. Okay, so KiwiCAD expected to continue lower during the upcoming week. Let's see, Aussie Franc is another one that I'm following. Aussie Franc is also interesting situation here, because on the daily chart we saw some bullish moves that were blocked right here, and then the idea of possible AVC pullback before further continuation up started becoming a very decent opportunity. This is where we can go to the lower time frames. We saw some traction here, the price gaining momentum to the downside, divergence, convergence, and ever since we're holding this high. After that, the price just started moving inside the range, or whatever this is right here, right? Consolidation. And then this is the interesting part now. This is where we got an impulse, at least the way I see this is an impulse for possible wave number 1. After this impulse, I would like to see the price giving us pullbacks, which it did, and then I would like to see the price going lower, which probably started doing so last week. 3 levels on the way. These levels are derived by the Fibonacci expansion from these moves and Fibonacci expansion from that move. And this is how I get this pretty good zone and level. So this is level number 1, that would be level number 2, and this is where we have again super strong level number 3. Right? So if you're looking for sales, just keep in mind about these zones. If you get any signs against, then you should be probably managing your trade, but of course this is your own business, how you handle your trades. In terms of FX pairs, this is all I got. I would like to cover the German DAX also, and this one coming and starting from the daily chart looks like it wants to give us pullbacks, right? We got the divergence after this bullish structure, so we can be looking and expecting ABC. If we drop to the lower time frames on the 4-hour chart or the 1-hour charts, we did indeed get some kind of impulse here, and this impulse, if we're going to be expecting 2 waves down, is now supposed to give us pullback to the upside, right? This pullback down, if we assume it's supposed to be impulse on its own on the lower time frames, is providing us exactly with this. We got the impulse, at least in my opinion, then we got stuck inside this range, and the bottom of the range, in my opinion, as long as it holds, is something to look forward to buy, which we did last week. Now let's see, once this kind of move will be completed, then we're probably going to continue lower. Of course, in order to continue lower, we want to see the price breaking, converging, just doing any type of a reversal. So according to your reversal science, your reversal strategy, whatever you're using to confirm this kind of setups, wait for that. Let's see the price pushing one more time hard in order to do this, right? And then this is where we want to see the reversal happening. That could be trend line breakouts. If this is what you do, that could be divergence, convergence setup, again, whatever it is you are following. So short term, I do expect a bit more up and then possibly continuing lower. XRP did a beautiful 2-wave move during the week. Definitely expecting it to continue higher. Let me just remove all these things. Definitely expecting it to continue higher, but we need to deal with this consolidation, because the way it started developing looked like a possible triangle. Now, since it broke, it becomes ABC, and yeah, pretty much that's it. Bitcoin is probably something that many are following. For Bitcoin, we have, as you can see here, automatically the divergence appears already for our chart. In terms of daily structure, we do have a daily structure, so pullbacks would not be something surprising. On the other hand, I think since we're breaking this trend line, we might be pushing even a bit higher. Okay, the momentum is now in place. We might be going for this high before deeper pullbacks. I really have no clue how it's going to play out. That's why we follow the technicals, and based on the technicals, we already have reasons for a pullback. If the pullback is provided, I would be definitely paying attention to the trend line. I would be paying attention to this zone right here. Was that 9,000 versus 10.5k, let's say 10.4. Okay, pullbacks and then continuations. That's about Bitcoin. Well, I think that pretty much covers the list. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to leave us a comment below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. I welcome you to go ahead and check out the Traders Academy Club, guys. We have a free Telegram channel which you can also join. I'll leave you the links below. And with those words, I'm wishing you a fantastic week ahead. Bye for now.